All right, welcome everybody. Our first video. So hopefully we're all excited and ready to go with it. Hopefully it's recording well. I don't know. I've had some technical difficulties today, so we'll see how it goes. But anyways, our first lesson here that we're going to take a dive into is adding integers. If you want to follow along in the book, my course twos with you guys, again, once you click on it in the top right, they'll say ebook, and that'll get you into it. But anyways, it starts on chapter 3 is where it gets into integers, and for me it's one of the most important things that we're going to do all year, so I wanted to start there, and all of our other lessons kind of build off of this. So anyways, page 191, it starts with talking about what integers actually are, and an integer just means a positive and negative number. Okay, so nothing else than that is what we're going to be working with, and how we add, subtract, multiply, and divide our positive and negative numbers is going to help, get us going in the right direction for the rest of our lessons. So anyways, now it talks about absolute values as well, and that's kind of part of one of our rules. But the absolute value, if you look there, those bars that run straight up and down, those are your absolute value bars. And if you look at this example, it says the absolute value of -5 and the absolute value of 5 both equal 5. Now, absolute value represents your distance from 0, how far away you are from 0. Now, -5 is 5 steps away from 0. +5 is 5 steps away from 0. So the absolute values of both are 5, right? Now, an absolute value is always, absolute values are always positive. Okay, it just tells you how far away from 0 they are. So anyways, it's your little introduction. If you want to follow along or get some more examples, on page 203 out of your book, they have some good things. So that's kind of where we're going to get started as far as our lessons go. So anyways, let me head over here. Now, there's a couple ways to think about absolute values. A lot of people like to think of them in terms of the number line, like we got here, right? In the number line, you start at 0, positives are on your right, negatives are on your left, and you go from there. But another way to do it is with some counters, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But really, I'll start you off with the number line. So, but whatever it is that you prefer, do it. All right, use it. It works for me. Okay, so adding integers. Now, the first thing that you're going to do when you go across any of these problems are to look at the signs, right? Now, they'll either have the same signs, which means both the numbers that you are adding are positive, or both are negative. If they are the same signs, you will add those absolute values, and the second step is to keep the sign. So it's just 2 steps either way. But if you have both with the same sign, you're going to add those absolute values together and then keep the sign, okay? So what I mean by that is, if you got a positive and a positive and another positive, your answer is always going to be positive. All right, 100% of the time, absolutely. If you have a negative number, let's say you're adding 2 negative numbers, right? A negative plus a negative, your answer will always be negative, right? Because if you're going to the left and then you go more to the left, you're still going to be to the left in the negatives from where you started. If you go to the right and you go more to the right, you're going to be in the positives. So positive and a positive is positive, a negative and a negative is a negative. Okay, so let's try a couple of these. Again, if you're talking about the positives, something you've done for a long time, 4 plus 3. If we got a positive 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and, right, the plus sign means and, I got another positive 3. So I go 4 steps forward, and I go 3 steps forward. I end up here 7 steps in front of where we started, right? Same signs I add, keep the sign, positive 7. Now, same is true when I have negatives, okay? So if I have -2 plus -6, same signs, just follow the rules. Same signs. I add those two absolute values. So I add the 2 plus the 6, which gives us the 8. Now the second step, keep the sign. Negative plus a negative. My answer is going to be negative 8. So if I go 2 steps back, let's go on the number line. 2 steps back, and I go another 6 steps back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I end up here at negative 8. All right, so negative plus a negative goes for anything. Negative 4 plus negative 5. Negative plus a negative, same signs, add. 4 plus 5 is 9. Keep the sign. That is going to be a negative 9, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives is a total of 9 negativos. Okay. All right. So that's the first situation, first scenario. Now, if you have different signs, it's a little bit different. Different signs meaning one number is positive, one number is negative. You do the opposite, right? The opposite of add is to subtract. So we're going to subtract the absolute values, and I know it sounds crazy. It's an addition problem, but you're going to be subtracting, okay? I'll tell you why in a second. But we subtract the absolute values in step 2 to determine the sign. We keep the larger. Whatever you got more of in your question is going to be the sign in your answer. So if I'm looking at this, if I have 4 plus negative 5, all right, 4 plus negative 5, different signs, so you subtract, and again, you just take the smaller from the larger. 5 minus 4 is 1. Different signs, subtract, and keep the larger. 5 is larger than 4 since it's negative. My answer is negative 1. Okay, so if I go 4 steps positive and I go 5 steps negative, all right, so I go 4 forward and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back, I end up at negative 1. Okay, now here's another way to think of it. I told you about the counters, right? So let's say I got 4 positives, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I have 5 negatives, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, let's take a look. So really what happens, and the reason why we subtract is we're going to get rid of the additive inverses, right, which are just the opposites of each other. So these 4 kind of counteract each other. 1 step forward, 1 step back, cancels out, you end up at 0, right? So same thing, 1 forward, 1 back, 1 forward, 1 back. And you're left with is 1 negative after all that. So let's try another one. Negative 6 plus 4. Different signs, right? Negative and a positive, different signs, subtract, keep the larger. Now in this case, I got more negatives, so my answer is going to be negative 2. Negative 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and positive 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You end up here at negative 2. Okay. All right. So there's some examples of different signs. Let me do a couple of these problems here with you just to make sure we're all on the same page. But be sure to watch that MC Santi video that I put on the Google Classroom. It'll change your life. It's great stuff. MC Santi does it better than me, but either way, let's try some of these problems and we'll get you all started. So negative 7 plus negative 5. If we look at this one, they are the same signs. You add and keep the sign. So 5 plus 7 is 12. They're both negatives. Your answer is negative 12. If I look at number 5, now these are different signs, right? I got negative 10 plus positive 12. Different signs, subtract, which means I take 10 away from 12, which gives us 2. Keep the larger. 12 is bigger than 10. Since 12 is positive, that means our answer is positive. So our answer is positive 2. Okay? All right, for the next problem, I got 10 plus 9. 10 plus 9, positive and a positive, same sign, add and keep the sign. They're both positive. Your answer is positive 19. For number 6, we got Negative 7 plus 8. All right, different signs. Subtract the 7 from the 8. That gives us 1. We keep the larger. So what's bigger, 8 or 7? 8's bigger. Since it's positive, your answer is positive 1. Okay? Let me do these for you and we'll get going. Okay. So number 4 here, we have negative 13 plus negative 3. Again, those parentheses are just like, signaling that, hey, I am a negative number. Those are not absolute value bars. They're just telling you that, hey, I'm a negative. So negative plus a negative, same signs, add, gives you 16. Keep the sign. It's going to be a negative 16. And here's your 0. Again, 0 plus negative 21. If you don't add anything to negative 21, guess what? You still have negative 21. But they're different signs, so you subtract. Even you go through the rules, 21 minus 0 is still 21. You don't take anything away, you still have 21. Keep the larger. 21 is bigger than 0. Since it's negative, your answer is negative 21. Okay, so there's the rules. Again, there's a picture of that on your Google Classroom. Watch the MC Santi video. That's on your Google Classroom. And your homework is it's a Google form. All you got to do is type in the short answer, and that is due on Monday at 2 o'clock. So hopefully y'all get that done. Make sure you still take your attendance, and we'll see you next week with some more videos. Thank you.